Grumble, grumble. Hey everyone, it's the Grumpy Meeple coming back at you with the next installment in my new series, The Weekly Grump. I got a comment last week that I am a rambler, which is 100% true, but in honor of that comment, I'm going to try to cut down a bit on the rambling this week. So we're going to get right into it, starting with news and stuff. Okay, first of all, we're going to talk about Rivet Wars Reloaded. This is Steamforged Games' reboot of the original Rivet Wars. They've taken everything that was great about the original game and dialed it up to 11 with refined minis, awesome new artwork, and loads of brand new content. So you're going to be seeing some pictures from a recent update that they threw up there. If you're not familiar with Rivet Wars, it's kind of a steampunk-inspired tactical war game where you're actually moving around tanks and motorcycles and such, kind of like Advanced Wars as a board game. I actually own quite a bit of Rivet Wars content. I've never actually played it, but I'm excited to someday play it, and I'm excited by this re-release because it adds probably the one thing that Rivet Wars needed the most, which was a single-player mode, complete with AI cards, and it's referred to as a bespoke single-player mode. So it's going to be, a separate experience from the two-player mode rather than maybe just adding AI cards to control the second character. We've got new miniatures. It's backwards compatible with all the existing miniatures for Rivet Wars. And this is just looking and sounding pretty cool. There's going to be a brand new faction. So in the original game, there were only two factions. Now there'll be a third, which is the Nemones, a morally gray faction owing allegiance to neither. They originate from way below the surface of the planet Rivet, within the hollowed-out Earth. Wow. What they lack in numbers, they make up for with advanced magnetic and sonic technology combined with unorthodox tactics. And they will change the Rivet Wars forever. So this is super cool because this is like a dead game that Simon put out a couple years ago, and it kind of had its run and was done. And this is another example of Steamforged Games kind of swooping in and grabbing up a cool game that needs a little bit of extra love and putting it back out there. And this one in particular is right up Steamforged, right up their alley with stuff, with as many kind of competitive dudes on a map games as they have. This is a nice fresh take on it. It's maybe a little bit friendlier for new users because at least the artwork is super kind of chibi and friendly. So I think that this is a great move by Steamforged, and this thing is hitting Kickstarter very soon. You can actually sign up to get notified of it right now, and it's coming on the 6th of September. So very cool re-release of a classic game that I own a ton of shit for and have never played. Very exciting. All right, next up we've got the announcement of Dante, the Invasion of Hell, coming to GameFound. Jump into this new adventure for 1 to 4 players that merges battles in the best wargame style with a deep storyline based exploration that changes every time you play it. Explore a new and unique take on Dante Alighieri's Inferno with exciting new characters through an ever-changing realm, and make decisions that will shape your journey and even hell itself. So why am I interested in this one? 2 reasons. First of all, it's actually a pretty cool license, if you want to call it that. I've never seen or heard of a board game that tried to kind of cover the Inferno, and so it's a cool kind of out there license that, as you might imagine, has a really cool dark, super dark kind of motif that just kind of gels with me. The other reason I'm super excited about this is because it's coming to us from Creative Game Studios, which is, of course, the publisher that created Chronicles of Drunagor, which is one of my all-time favorite dungeon crawls. And so I've only played one game that they put out. They've only put 2 games out. The one that I played is amazing. So they have my attention. Let's just say that. Now, they go out of their way to say in the comments, and even to me personally, because I pinged them, that there ain't nothing happening with this until they get Drunagor delivered. So just know, if you're a backer of Chronicles of Drunagor and you're sitting there and you're thinking to themselves, oh, fuck these guys. They're already moving on and I don't even have my game yet. This is just a preview. I have no idea when this is going to go live. It sounds like it's not going to be for a while. And they are focused on delivering Chronicles of Drunagor. And in fact, I think they're actively in the process of delivering the first wave, at least. I've actually seen it available on a retail website, the site that I bought all of my Chronicles of Drunagor stuff from. So it seems like it's trickling out and in delivery for at least that first wave. And so just know that this is coming, not imminent. And, like I said, it's a really cool motif. It's an incredible fusion of exploration through the various circles of hell and epic battles against hordes of enemies. Awesome. All sounds awesome. The art looks awesome. There's a preview miniature render that looks pretty awesome. It's pretty busy. I kind of can't tell what the hell's going on there, but I don't know, looks pretty cool. And the miniatures from Creative Game Studios are no joke. I really like the Chronicles of Drunagor miniatures, particularly the hero miniatures are pretty great. So just putting this out there on the radar. It's something that is coming down the line, and you'll be hearing more about it on this channel, I'm sure. All right, next up we've got just a quick update on Heroscape Age of Annihilation, which I covered in my previous video and which I am very excited about. But a piece of news came out of Gen Con that kind of bummed me out a little bit, and that is that the miniatures are no longer going to be pre-painted. They're going to come unpainted, and you're going to have to paint them yourself. I'm kind of torn on this because on the one hand, it's not like the paint job that was on the original Heroscape miniatures was some incredible artistic endeavor. It was pretty basic, and so maybe it's better to not have to scrape all that crap off or prime over it if you want to paint them for real. On the other hand, I do think that it hurts the accessibility of the game because it kind of sits in this weird space between a game and a toy. And when it's a pre-painted figure, it looks a lot more like an action figure or something like that, like an 8-year-old kid might grab, instead of like a project that you're taking on to buy this set and paint all these miniatures. And so I do wonder if it's going to hurt kind of that entry level for the game. And also, if you've watched my content, you've seen that I've covered a lot of the pre-painted miniature line from WizKids. And I can tell you that we've come a long way in terms of pre-painted miniatures since the original Heroscape release. And this feels like something that's within their reach. It seems like it would be possible for them to release it with the pre-painted miniatures. And who knows, maybe this goes to Kickstarter or Hasbro Pulse and there's an option to pledge for a limited edition with the painted miniatures and whatnot. But just a quick bit of information about Heroscape. The other thing that I'll say is if you're looking at the image right now, you'll see that it looks very much like the original Heroscape. Those tiles look basically identical. So that's exciting too. If it's somehow compatible with all that old stuff, then I'm going to have a giant collection and I'll be pretty excited. All right, and finally, we've got the next installment in the $1 question, where the Grumpy Meeple tries to decide if he's going to back a board game that he put $1 on during the campaign. And the game that we're looking at today is Batman Gotham City Chronicles Season 3 and RPG. So, spoiler alert, yes, I will be backing this, but for very specific reasons. Basically, I'm not interested in the RPG in any way. Nothing about it speaks to me. I just am not an RPG guy. I think it looks like a really cool RPG and the artwork is freaking amazing, but if I bought this, it would never get played. I bought the Zombicide 2nd Edition RPG for some reason, and it's just still sitting there totally unplayed. So, not going to be backing the RPG, and I'm also not that interested in most of the Season 3 content. I don't intend to pledge the all-in for Season 3 either, because I don't really need more content for Batman, although I am seeing that they unlocked Azrael Batman, which is pretty cool, from Nightfall. Damn it, that's pretty cool. I'm still not backing it. What I am interested in is a very specific subset of content for the board game, and that is the Bat Computer files as well as the solo co-op set that we'll see below. I think that charging for the Bat Computer files is a little bit of a dick move on the part of Monolith, because really what this is a fully revised rulebook, and what they mean here is a fully usable, readable rulebook, a bunch of player aids that should have been in the game in the first place, and a bunch of skill mini sheets that should have been in the game in the first place. This is not a cheap game, and it's a little galling that they feel the need to upcharge us to fix their own legendarily shitty rulebook. That said, I have a lot of content for this game from Season 1. I didn't back anything in Season 2. And I've never played it, and it's largely because of stuff like the lack of a decent rulebook, the lack of a good player aid. And so I will be purchasing this just to make my game playable, basically. Comes with some other stuff too, some map board reference sheets, which is kind of cool, I guess. Quick reference. And then the other item I'm interested in is, again, the solo cooperative mode. Compatible with all seasons from the board game. Comes with the rules booklet, some mission sheets, supervillain cards, AI cards, and a solo co-op die. Now, again, as far as I'm concerned, especially in 2022, you put your game out and it doesn't have a solo cooperative mode, you're just asking to get underfunded. So this is another one of those things that should have been in the box, probably. This backed quite some time ago, and maybe the industry has moved on and they're just catching up. But it's still a little galling, especially the price, £32, which is basically $32 right now, for a rule book and some cards is pretty outrageous. But this is going to allow me to really get my money's worth out of that initial pledge. And so I will be backing it. So the answer to the $1 question for Batman Season 3 is yes, with an asterisk. Because I will be buying this stuff that I need to make the game that they sold me in the first place playable and enjoyable. So kind of a bummer, to be honest. Not something that I'm super pumped about, but it's, I think, necessary, and I think it will be worth it because I do think that there's a good game there, and there's all sorts of cool miniatures and whatnot, and I love solo and co-op. And at the very least, I'm much happier with this than I was with their treatment of Conan and the solo cooperative mode for that, because it was very confusing. It's still confusing to this day exactly what you need to own from the re-release campaign for Conan to play it solo co-op. It's a very small subset of missions. This is all the seasons, all the missions, I assume. 53 mission sheets. So this is an insane amount of content, and it's universally useful. It's not this limited thing where you have to buy all this other Conan stuff just to get the solo co-op mode. So this is better than that, but still a little bit of a bummer, and Monolith should kind of be sitting in the corner for a little bit for fucking this stuff up in the first place and then charging us for it. So that's all I had for today. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was a little less rambly, and I will talk to you later.